Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll take a look at who Abe Sapien is. One of the most mysterious, elegant, and enigmatic characters in the Hellboy universe is, without a doubt, Abe Sapien, an amphibious creature with a brilliant mind, extraordinary psychic abilities, and a past as deep and hidden as the very depths of the ocean. From the moment he appears on screen, Abe stands out not only for his supernatural appearance, but also for his serenity, wisdom, and deep connection to the unknown. But behind his calm voice and intellectual air lies a story full of secrets, hidden rituals, lost civilizations, and a transformation as tragic as it is fascinating. Over the years, Abe has captivated both comic book readers and movie lovers thanks to his unique duality. Half scientist, half mystical creature. A being that seems to belong neither to the world of men nor to that of monsters. That's why in this video, I'll explain in detail the story and origins of Abe Sapien. To do that, I'll give you a summary of his story in the different films. Then I'll talk about his physical appearance, his personality, and his incredible known abilities and weaknesses. The true story of Abe Sapien was revealed long after his initial appearance, specifically in the Hellboy, Plague of Frogs comic series. In these stories, we're told that before becoming the aquatic being we know, Abe was an ordinary human named Langdon Everett Caul, a renowned scientist and businessman with a great passion for the esoteric. His curiosity led him to get involved with the ON Society, a group dedicated to the study of the occult, convinced that primordial knowledge and life itself came from the sea. In a strange vision of the past, we are shown a marine alien creature dwelling in an ancient underwater temple. Over time, this place is destroyed, and the creature is reduced to a dormant form resembling an egg that remains buried in the ruins. Eventually, Caul finds this egg, which looks like a jellyfish, and along with other members of the ON Society, believes it to be an ancient sea deity. They decide to perform a ritual in their laboratory, located in the underground facilities of St. Trinity Hospital. During the ritual, the egg disintegrates in Caul's hands, and the spirit of the marine entity merges with his body, thus beginning his transformation into what would later be known as Abe Sapien. Langdon, horrified by what's happening, loses consciousness, believing that a demonic force has possessed him. Upon witnessing the result, the members of the society believe they are seeing the reincarnation of an oceanic god, so they place the new being in a water tank and lock him in their secret lab. As time passes, this being begins to change, adopting more amphibious traits. However, the American Civil War forces the group to abandon the lab, leaving the creature behind. It's never known why they didn't return, but Abe's body remained trapped for over a century, until 1978, when a group of workers at St. Trinity Hospital accidentally discovers a sealed chamber in a forgotten part of the building. Inside, they find a strange water tank containing a humanoid creature, apparently asleep. This being is transferred to the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, B.P.R.D, an organization dedicated to studying and containing supernatural threats. With no trace of his identity, the B.P.R.D names him Abraham Sapien, in honor of the date he was discovered, April 14th, the day Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. They nickname him Abe and begin studying him carefully. To everyone's surprise, Abe wakes up shortly after, and although he lacks memories of his past life as Langdon Caul, he proves to be intelligent, curious, and peaceful. Over time, Abe becomes a valuable agent of the B.P.R.D, fighting alongside other members such as Hellboy, Liz Sherman, and Johann Kraus. His instinctive knowledge of the occult world, as well as his physical abilities, such as underwater breathing, enhanced strength, and swimming speed, make him a key part of the team. The first Hellboy film, directed by Guillermo del Toro, begins with the arrival of the Red Demon on Earth during World War II as a result of an occult experiment carried out by the Nazis and led by none other than Grigory Rasputin. Decades later, Hellboy works as a secret agent in the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, B.P.R.D, protecting the world from supernatural threats. But among the most fascinating members of the team is Abe Sapien, an aquatic and psychic being whose role proves crucial in the story's development. Abe, physically portrayed by Doug Jones, master of body language under layers of prosthetics, and voiced by the refined David Hyde Pierce, is introduced as the intellectual investigator of the group. From his very first scenes, Abe presents himself as an elegant, calm, and methodical being who analyzes paranormal phenomena from both a scientific and spiritual perspective. He lives submerged in a water tank at the B.P.R.D facilities, where he accesses ancient texts, artifacts, and databases to assist in investigations. His key moment comes when he personally inspects a mysterious egg linked to an ancestral creature, Samel, the son of Nurgle, who has been released as part of Rasputin's plan to resurrect the Ogdru Jihad, monstrous entities with the power to destroy humanity. Abe dives into the sewers to track the creature, demonstrating his mastery of aquatic environments and his analytical capabilities. During this mission, his psychic abilities alert him to the presence of a far greater evil. However, this expedition ends badly for Abe. While investigating the underground tunnels alone, he is brutally attacked by Samel and severely injured. Though he's not a fighter like Hellboy, this scene shows his bravery, commitment to the team, and willingness to risk his life for the greater good. The attack takes him out of action for the rest of the film, but his contribution was crucial in discovering the creature's origin and its accelerated reproduction. Despite playing a more passive role in the third act, Abe Sapien is established as the intellectual heart of the group. He not only provides the necessary information to understand the supernatural threat, but also serves as an emotional contrast to Hellboy's impulsive and explosive nature. His presence brings balance to the team, offering wisdom, sensitivity, and a sense of belonging to a group of beings considered abnormal by the outside world. In Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, Guillermo del Toro expands the universe introduced in the first installment and immerses us in a more magical and mythical world, filled with fantastical creatures, ancient wars, and moral dilemmas. In this sequel, Abe Sapien, once again portrayed by Doug Jones, who this time also provides his own voice, takes on a much more active and emotional role in the story, showing a remarkable evolution in both his abilities and his depth as a character. The story begins with the breaking of an ancient truce between the human world and the world of magical creatures. Prince Nuada, tired of seeing his people pushed into the shadows, decides to break the peace treaty and reclaim control of the mythical Golden Army, an invincible mechanical army created centuries ago to defend the magical beings. With the threat of an imminent war, the B.P.R.D springs into action, and Abe Sapien becomes a key member of the team, both intellectually and emotionally. From his first scenes, Abe displays clear growth compared to the first film. He is no longer just the calm and reserved analyst, but now takes an active role in field missions, using his amphibious abilities, physical agility, and intellect to solve the mysteries surrounding the conflict. His knowledge of ancient history and mythology makes him the bridge between the human world and that of the magical creatures. He is the one who translates arcane texts, deciphers hidden maps, and guides the team through the labyrinthine underground markets of the magical realm. But the most significant aspect of this film is that Abe also undergoes a profound emotional transformation. For the first time, we see him fall in love. His relationship with Princess Nuala, Nuada's sister, reveals a vulnerable and romantic side of Abe that we had not seen before. As the story progresses, Abe finds himself torn between his duty as an agent and his feelings for Nuala, a creature of nobility, wisdom, and compassion. Their connection is not only romantic, but also spiritual, as Nuala is the only one who seems to truly understand Abe on a deep level, beyond his appearance or abilities. This internal conflict intensifies when Abe must make a heartbreaking decision: allow Nuala to die in order to stop her brother and prevent the activation of the Golden Army. The final scene, where he holds Nuala in his arms as she fades away, is one of the most emotional moments in the entire film. Doug Jones's physical and facial performance, without the need for forced dialogue or exaggeration, perfectly conveys the pain, loss, and sacrifice. Throughout Hellboy 2, Abe shines not only for his erudition and psychic abilities, but also for his emotional development. From being a distant investigator, he evolves into a deeply human being capable of love, sorrow, and making difficult choices. His story arc adds emotional richness to the Hellboy team, showing that even the strangest of creatures have hearts that can be broken. Throughout the B.P.R.D's investigations, Abe begins to experience visions, strange dreams, and encounters that suggest his existence is deeply connected to prophetic events. These clues lead him to discover that his transformation was not an accident, but part of a greater destiny. During the events of B.P.R.D, Plague of Frogs, and its sequels, The Black Flame, The King of Fear, etc., Abe learns that his transformation was not merely a fusion with a marine entity, but a guided evolution. He is part of a new race destined to replace humanity after the apocalypse. Abe is not just a man from the past revived, but also a herald of the future. This discovery triggers a profound identity crisis. Although he has always fought to protect humanity, he now faces the idea that he might represent its extinction. As the world begins to collapse due to ancient and monstrous forces, Abe distances himself from the B.P.R.D to undertake a personal quest, trying to understand his role in the world and whether he can choose his destiny or is doomed to fulfill it. During his journey, Abe undergoes another physical mutation, becoming more similar to the prophesied amphibious beings. His body elongates, his face becomes more alien-like, and his abilities increase. At the same time, he grows more solitary and philosophical, trying to reconcile his human side with his monstrous nature. Eventually, in the final arcs of the Hellboy universe and B.P.R.D, The Devil You Know, it is confirmed that Abe was one of the first steps toward a new era for Earth, an age in which the world would be reclaimed by older and wiser creatures, born from the ocean and chaos. Abe Sapien's death is presented in a symbolic and ambiguous way. In the final battle for the fate of the world, his body dies, but his essence lives on in the new life forms that begin to emerge from the sea. He was not humanity's destroyer, but its replacement, a bridge to the next evolutionary cycle. And now that we've thoroughly covered his story, I want to talk to you about Abe Sapien's physical appearance, what we know about his personality and behavior, and I'll explain his incredible known abilities and weaknesses. Abe Sapien has a unique appearance that blends human traits with amphibious characteristics, making him a visually fascinating and, at the same time, unsettling creature. His body is slim, agile, and athletic, perfectly adapted to life underwater. His skin, which varies between a bluish-gray or greenish tone, depending on the version, has a smooth and moist texture, similar to certain fish or amphibians. Along his back run flexible dorsal fins that move fluidly when he swims, and his limbs, slightly webbed, are optimized for graceful movement in aquatic environments. His face features fine lines and large, dark, deeply expressive eyes that convey both wisdom and melancholy. He has no hair. Instead, delicate lines and anatomical details run across his head, as if his skin told an ancient story. The visible gills on the sides of his neck allow him to breathe underwater with complete ease, although he can also survive on land without major issues. One of the most fascinating aspects of the character is his physical transformation over time, especially in the comics. As he begins to uncover his true nature, a reincarnation of Langdon Everett Caul, a 19th century occultist transformed by mystical forces, his body begins to change noticeably. His face elongates, his eyes become more prominent and piercing, and his limbs take on a more stylized and alien form. Over time, Abe appears less and less human, as though his body were responding to an inevitable evolution, to a destiny he cannot fully control. This transformation is not only physical, it also symbolizes his departure from humanity and his progression toward a new existential stage more connected to the occult, the prophetic, and the unknown. In him, body and soul are in constant tension between a human past and a future that claims him as a key figure in the fate of the world. Abe Sapien doesn't stand out just for his appearance. His emotional and intellectual depth is what truly makes him an unforgettable figure in the Hellboy universe. From his first appearance, he is shown as serene, introspective, and deeply reflective. Unlike Hellboy, who acts on impulse and passion, Abe is rational, methodical, and guided by logic. He prefers reading over fighting, diplomacy over conflict, understanding over judgment. He is a scholar with vast knowledge in history, archaeology, symbology, and the occult, which makes him a key asset to the B.P.R.D team. But what makes him truly compelling is that, despite being a strange creature in the human world, he retains a strong sense of ethics and morality. Even though he doesn't remember his past life as Langdon Everett Caul, his soul carries guilt and doubts that haunt him in silence. In the comics, this inner struggle intensifies as he uncovers clues about his true origin and his connection to apocalyptic prophecies. Upon learning that he might be a central figure in the end of the world, he is faced with questions that constantly plague him. Is he merely a tool of destiny, a catalyst for destruction, or someone capable of changing the course of events? This search for identity defines him. He is not driven by power, glory, or revenge. He only wants to find peace within himself, do what's right, and protect those he loves, even if it costs him his life. In the films, this sensitivity is also present. Abe is portrayed as a noble, empathetic being with a deep need for emotional connection. His relationship with Princess Nuala in Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, reveals that longing to be understood, to love and be loved by someone who is also isolated from the world. That brief but intense love story shows his most vulnerable side, his capacity to feel deeply, and his desire to find a purpose beyond war and duty. Abe is not only the mind of the team, he's also its conscience. He is the voice that doubts, that questions, that suffers in silence, but keeps going for a world that will probably never fully accept him. And it is precisely in that struggle where his true greatness lies. Abe Sapien is much more than just an amphibious being. His abilities make him a key member of the B.P.R.D team and a unique figure within the Hellboy universe. Although he is not the strongest physically nor the most feared in combat, his skill set allows him to stand out both in field missions and in paranormal investigations. His most evident ability is his full amphibious capability. He can breathe underwater thanks to his gills and swim with impressive speed and agility, easily surpassing any trained human. He moves as if water were his natural home, and it is precisely in that environment where he shines the brightest, exploring sunken ruins, tracking underwater entities, or accessing places no other team member could reach. That connection with the aquatic world goes beyond the physical, because Abe doesn't just survive in it. He feels it as part of his very essence. Despite his slender appearance, he possesses physical strength above that of a human, enough to face supernatural creatures and survive. In the comics, this strength increases over time, in parallel with his bodily transformation that takes him further from humanity and closer to something older, more resilient, more mystical. He also has limited regeneration, allowing him to recover from moderate injuries faster than a normal human, an essential advantage in the most dangerous encounters. Additionally, his night vision makes him ideal for operating in total darkness, such as in caves, tunnels, or underground ruins, giving him a significant tactical advantage. But perhaps his most fascinating abilities aren't physical, they're psychic. Abe has demonstrated remarkable extrasensory perception, including telepathy, retrocognition, the ability to perceive past events connected to objects or places, and a natural sensitivity to supernatural presences. It's as if he can feel the echoes of spirits, hidden intentions, or the traces of arcane energies. In the comics, this connection to the occult intensifies as he comes into contact with magical artifacts or power-charged places, even developing a sort of bond with invisible forces that guide or watch him from the shadows, as if he were a chosen piece in a destiny he doesn't yet fully understand. In more advanced stages of the story, particularly in arcs like Plague of Frogs or The Drowning, Abe displays increasing resilience, both physically and mentally. His body becomes more robust, his mind more focused, and his capacity to endure apocalyptic visions and betrayals within the B.P.R.D strengthens. It's as if, alongside the evolution of his form, his spirit also hardens, preparing for a fate greater than himself, a responsibility he never asked for, but has begun to accept, though not without pain and doubt. However, like any complex and tragic figure, Abe Sapien also has weaknesses that humanize him. Despite his power, he needs moist environments to function at full strength. He can live on land, but his skin tends to dry out, and his vitality decreases if he stays too long away from water, posing a constant limitation in extreme climates or prolonged missions. Physically, although stronger than the average human, his body is still more fragile than that of other team members like Hellboy or Johann Kraus. He doesn't have hardened skin or a body built to absorb damage, so he must rely more on his agility, knowledge, and ability to read the environment before acting. But his greatest weakness is not external, it is internal. As he uncovers his connection to Langdon Everett Caul and to ancient prophecies about the end of the world, his emotional stability becomes shaken. Knowing he might be a tool of destruction or an agent of a new era drives him into an identity crisis that consumes him. At times, he doubts himself, isolates from the team, or embarks on personal journeys in search of answers he's not even sure exist. This emotional sensitivity, which makes him so human despite his inhuman appearance, is also his greatest vulnerability. He loves deeply, suffers intensely, and desperately wants to find a purpose that will allow him to feel at peace. It is in that balance between power and fragility, between wisdom and doubt, between the mystical and the human, that Abe Sapien becomes an unforgettable character. His struggle is not only against external forces, but against his own destiny, the weight of a past he barely remembers, and a future he cannot escape. And it is precisely that struggle, silent, profound, painful, that makes him so fascinating and so real. And that would be everything we know, so far, about Abe Sapien, the mysterious amphibious agent of the B.P.R.D. A deeply complex character who blends the mystical with the human, the tragic with the heroic. Personally, I've always found him to be one of the most fascinating beings in the Hellboy universe, not just because of his extraordinary abilities, but because of the duality that defines him. It's as if he carries the weight of two worlds on his shoulders, trying to find his place between what he once was and what he is destined to become. But now I want to hear your opinion. Did you already know the full story of Abe Sapien? Do you think his evolution makes him more powerful or more vulnerable? And if you could spend a single day with him, what would you ask about his past or his future? Let me know down below in the comments. I love reading what you think, and having these kinds of discussions about such unique creatures. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends who love horror, monsters, or just a good story. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of my new videos.